up, guys? We are back at it. Today we are trying to do the wall that will be at our footrest. We're going to insulate that using some polyiso foam board as well as some Havelock wool. I've already cut out a couple studs that I'm going to run down. Then we're going to make a template out of cardboard and then cut out our plywood piece that will be the wall there. Check it out. In today's video, we want to show you exactly how we made these walls, including this unique piece here, and some of the odd corners like this. The first step was to create some templates. We found that Amazon boxes and duct tape work perfect for this. Next, we cut out some large insulation boards to fit in the gaps that will be behind our walls. We also screwed on some studs using rivet nuts that we can attach the plywood to. And then we traced our cardboard template onto our plywood that would be our wall, and we made our cuts. So we got all of the insulation done. We put wool on top of our polyiso board, taped it up with a Reflectix tape, so it's really insulated. This is the scary part, testing to see if where we drilled the holes is going to match up on here. Almost never does. So we've got this wall in. It is slightly slanted in, but that's totally fine with us. These big sheen bolts here are actually going to be the spots that we use to anchor our upper cabinet here, because these are attached directly to the frame of the van using the rivet nuts. So I'm eventually going to take those out, and then when I put the cabinet here, I'll use these. So they're not going to show later on, which is why it might look a little ugly right now, but it's going to look just fine once we're done. Well, after spending a few hours kind of trying to figure out how we want to do this last wall behind us, we came to the conclusion that we're going to do the same thing we did for this wall, which is to put a couple support beams down this way. We put rivet nut inserts here. We're going to screw it in here, screw it to the bed frame down below, and then we're going to put a piece of plywood up that will also attach right here in these other rivet nut inserts. That's the way we decided to do it, so that's what we're doing. Spray adhesive time. Instead of getting a table saw, I just opted to get one of these. It's a straight edge cutting guide. You can clamp down on the sides here. And that allows me to get a straight cut just using the skill saw instead of needing a table saw. So that's what I've been using. It works great. So now we're left to figure out how I'm going to do this part of the wall. I left this part open because I want to put all my outlets and switches right here. So my initial idea is that I'm going to put some rivet nuts in these holes here, and I'm going to make a piece of wood that fits this, comes over, and is kind of my stud for this section. And then I'm going to have another piece of wood that comes above it, leaving just a small little gap here. So this part will be protruded by about half an inch or an inch right here, but right here will be my outlets and my switches. We'll see how it goes. So I'm trying to right now cut out a perfect shaped piece of wood that'll fit flush against right here, but then when it gets here we'll carve out this part that sticks out. I'm going to cover this eventually somehow somewhere else, or maybe this piece will come up over it, not sure yet. But first, get some rivet nuts in here, get a piece of wood that fits nicely as the back piece here. Let's go. Nothing fancy here, but I took some measurements of the shape of that part that sticks out here, and I've drawn myself a little template. I'm hoping that this fits. This is kind of a spare piece of wood anyway, so if it fits perfect, great. If not, we'll try another attempt. Lines may look confusing, and that's because it is. I think I might have got it so that I can cut out enough space for all these cords. I'll show you what I mean. We'll see. I'm rerunning some wires. Some of the wires for the outlets weren't long enough to get to where I want them to be when I plug them in, so I had to extend them a little bit. I didn't record any of it because it's super time consuming already without recording, and it's very basic stuff that I've already showed you. Simple crimp connections using butt spliced connectors. So check it out. This is why making a van takes so long. All these weird shapes and getting it exactly how it works for you in your setup is what takes the time. It's not necessarily hard, you figure it out piece by piece, but it's very time consuming. I'm gonna build some walls and have it stick out just about an inch, and that's where the actual outlets and everything will be plugged into, so you won't see the wires that are hanging out here. Always the most intimidating part, or the scariest part, checking to see if the holes that you drilled out actually match up with the rivet nuts. Let's see. They all four fit. Right into the frame of the van right there. So now I gotta make a couple side pieces here. It's gonna go all the way up and fit hopefully to the top and along here as well. I'm gonna cut that out of this wood here. And then we'll build the face of it. Alright, getting ready to glue this first piece, side piece on. I think that I've got it how we'll need it. Got all the clamps and wood glue. I also drilled a couple Craig jig holes on the other side of this so I can get a couple screws in eventually. See how it goes. So part of what we want to do here is actually give ourselves two little cubbies that we can put like a mesh net in front of, that we can throw things in that will be by the door. Things like doggy bags, maybe the leash, gloves, hats, quick things that we want to grab. So to do that, I've cut out 10 of these pieces. They're just 9" by 1.5 inch that I'm going to lay out like this inside here. We're going to double them up so that they're nice and flush with the face panel that we'll be building. Down here, this is where our electrical outlets will be. There'll be a 120 volt and a 12 volt, which will be USB. And then there'll be a little space here where we can put a little net and use you know, to stuff things, easy to grab things, chapstick, whatever else. In between here, we're gonna have our 2 light switches, our 2 little dimmer switches. And then here will be another open area that will have a catch-all net thing for. And above that will be our battery monitor and the remote for our fan. So this is where we're at now after a lot of time. We used a router to cut this, which was really nice actually, gave us pretty straight edges. These are the little pockets I was talking about for glasses or gloves or poop bags, things like that. We've got 2 little compartments. This one goes in a couple inches to hold things in. This one you can kind of see through it. And then we got our 120 volt right here. Got our 12 volt, which will be some USB plugins or anything that we need the 12 volt. Gonna have our battery monitor up here, that there. I haven't drilled the holes yet, but we'll drill 2 little holes here for our tiny little light knobs. So I've finally got everything in there and I've wired everything. I've wired my outlets, wired my lights. I've just flipped the switch down here to turn my electricity back on. The battery monitor came right on, so that's a good sign, that's working. The light switch, let's see. There we go. Backlights. Those are working, that's good. Everything looks good there, all my lights are on. We're just gonna have a little USB 12 volt plug here, but I have this anyway to see if this works. Power green on there, that works. I'm not gonna even test further than that, so that seems like it's working. We're gonna try this. No light came on there. Okay, so there, let's see. Nothing. Oh, you know what? Okay, I think I know why. Let's unplug this. Let's unplug this. I had the breaker off because I wasn't using that. I don't remember which one it is. It says bed, so it must be this one. So let's flip this breaker. And then let's come up here. Let's plug this in. Oh, well now the blue light comes on, so that's a good sign. Whew, scared me for a second. Let's see. Plug my phone in. Charging, yes. So now that everything's working, I'm gonna actually attach this fully. I've only put 1 screw in so far because I didn't want to attach all of this to find out something's not working. So everything's working, awesome. Time to finally fully attach it. And there we go. That's good enough to call it done for now. We'll probably eventually do some trim and things to pretty it up a little bit. It looks still kind of raw, kind of rough, like cover the screw holes and things like that. So for now, it's done. It looks so much better than before. We've got little cubbies here for dog bags, leash, gloves, things like that. There's 2 of them, this one too, as you can see. We've got our monitor right here. Got our fan remote holder right here. We've got a 12 volt outlet and a 120 volt outlet. So it looks a lot better than it did before all of this. Next step, gonna work on some of these corner edge pieces, those back pieces, some of the other small pieces that we need to get done. And then we'll work on the floor and the upper cabinets. Lots to go, lots to go. Another step off the list though. I've attached a couple pieces here that I'm gonna use as furring strips. It's still not straight, so I'm trying to get a nice little corner piece here, get it the right shape so that it'll fit right in here like this. But nothing is working out for me right now. These won't, I mean, I could bend this in, but then I get a large gap, so I'm going really slow, taking my time, trying to get these edges perfect so that once I finish it, it'll line in here really nice. Hopefully, at least that's the plan, something like this, but we'll see if I can do that. This process really just involves pencil, patience, marking the spots, and just going a tiny bit at a time. You'd rather cut too little off than too much off, so literally just shaving little pieces off at a time. Alright, another tough edge done. This part sticks out, so I couldn't go any higher than this, but I'm gonna figure something out for up here. We also added one of our night lights. And then the next one is your reading lamp. Rotates both ways, also goes up and down. So this will be a reading lamp from this side of the bed. You can see here, it's a little bit of a gap. We're hoping that the headboard that we make will go all the way to here and cover this just a tiny bit, so we don't have to worry about it. We're gonna make a nice big padded headboard for over here. And along this edge, you can see, try and get a good angle. It's not perfect, nothing I've done is perfect, but it's pretty good. Fits real nice and snug right in there. Door closes just fine. I can't do down here. I got to do a non-permanent solution down here because this is how you access the tail lights when you need to replace a bulb. So I need to make sure that this still has access. So whatever I do to cover this area and down there, it's going to be easy to remove whenever I need to get back there. So for now, I just built it down to here. You can see where these metal parts are here. I pulled these little metal pieces out. I used a screwdriver on the inside, pushed them until they shrunk, and then pulled them out. Once I pulled them out, I was able to put 1/4 inch rivet nuts into these square shaped spots. So it's not perfect, they're not perfect circles, so they're these square shapes, but they held really well. And I put 2 little pieces like that, and then I put a piece of wood on there and screwed it into it. So that's how I'm doing it. Again, you know, to each their own, but everything I've done so far is fully deconstructible. If I need to deconstruct something to redo it or anything, I'm not going to have extra holes and metal shavings or any of that in my van because everything is put into a factory hole basically. So yeah, it's coming together, guys. Alright, so now we're doing this corner trim, which is above the kitchen area. We're gonna put a little piece of wood there. Again, just used rivet nuts, attach these little strips here and here. I did it in these square shaped holes using a size 10 rivet nut. So it's not a perfect circle, but they still hold really tight. I mean, it's definitely gonna be fine. This looks really good, and we're gonna start painting, and I can't wait to see what it looks like when we get more white in here. Here we go.